let's go further. We finish from this slide. Okay, so now we will take another topic. It's called the multiplier. What's the meaning of multiplier in Arabic? Al-Mudha'af. Okay, let's start with this variable, exogenous variable. What's the meaning of exogenous variable? External variable. Something as a shock comes from outside the model. So, Raja, can you read this, Raja?
Okay, Doctor.
Read this, please. Exogenous variable.
Exogenous variable, a variable that is assumed not to depend on the state of the economy. That is, it does not change when the economy changes.
Okay, so exogenous variable, assume the government decided to spend extra 1 million dirhams, regardless of the level of economic activity. This is called exogenous variable. Something not induced, not come as a result of the level of aggregate output. Assume business sector decided suddenly to increase their spending, to expand their projects, whatever the level of economic activity. So this is called exogenous variable. And then we will take the multiplier, Raja.
The ratio of the change in the aquarium level of output to a change in some exogenous variable.
Okay, so what is the multiplier? A change in Y due to a change in one of the exogenous variables. For example, so multiplier equals delta Y over delta one of the exogenous variable, assume planned investment. So it is equal, for example, it's technology. For example, aggregate output increased by 100 million dirhams due to increase in investment by 25. What is the multiplier then? 100 divided by 25?
4.
So the multiplier is 4. What does it mean? That means if the business sector decided to spend 25, that will activate, will stimulate, will encourage the level of economic activity 4 times than the initial increase in investment. We will give more explanation in a moment. So this is the multiplier. See in this example, thank you, Raja. عبد العزيز أحمد الزرعوني. Lana Umar.
Yes, doctor.
Read this for me.
Okay. Figure 8.8. The multiplier as seen in the planned aggregate expenditure diagram. At point A, the economy is in equilibrium at y equals 500. When investment increases by 25, planned aggregate expenditure is initially greater than aggregate output. As output rises in response, additional consumption is generated, pushing equilibrium output up by a multiple of the initial increase in investment.
Okay, so as we discussed before the break, equilibrium can be reached when aggregate output equals to planned aggregate expenditure at 500. So point A is the initial equilibrium point. Assume now business sector decided to increase investment, planned investment by 25. So I will draw a new planned aggregate expenditure. I will bring planned aggregate expenditure AE1 up the vertical distance equals to 25, the increase in planned investment. So we got AE2, a new planned aggregate expenditure. So now at 500, planned aggregate expenditure is more than aggregate output. Demand is more than supply. So that will lead to unplanned decrease in inventory. Business sector will react by increasing output till we reach a new equilibrium point. The new equilibrium point can be seen by the new planned aggregate expenditure and 45-degree line at point B. So here, the increase in output is 100 due to an increase in investment by 25. So the multiplier is 4. So Lana, could you complete your reading?
Okay. The new equilibrium is found at point B, where y equals 600. Equilibrium output has increased by 100, 600 minus 500, or 4 times the amount of the increase in planned investment.
Okay, so the increase in planned investment by 25 caused an increase in output by 100. So why? Let's understand it. So it comes through consumption. Let's make just very simple explanation to this idea. So assume suddenly the government decided to give Sheikh Ubaid 25 million dirhams to build a new villa, a new palace. So this is a change in one of the exogenous variable. What will happen? So she will go to construction company to build a new villa. So see here, output will increase by 25 because we are going to build a new villa. This is a new product. So income for this company will increase by 25. So what they will do with this income, assume the marginal propensity to consume is 0.9 or 90%. So they will spend to purchase something because they earn a new income. So they will spend for consumption 90% of their income. Assume they decided to purchase vegetables. So they will go to a farmer and purchase vegetable. So the farmer will produce new vegetables worth of 20 million dirhams. So output increase, income increase. So the farmer will earn a new income worth of 20 million. So the farmer will spend 90% of 20 million. So let me use my calculator. So 25 times 0.9 equal 22.5. So the owner of the construction company decided to purchase vegetable from a farmer and he paid 25.5, 22.5. So the farmer will use 90% of his new income, which is worth around 20 million, to purchase something. For example, he decided to purchase a new furniture. So the owner of the furniture company will use his new income to purchase something else. Assume he decided to purchase chocolate or sweet. The company of sweet will earn a new income. They will spend part of their income to purchase something else. So until we reach zero. So what is the conclusion? The initial increase in government spending, because the government decided to give Sheikh Abeid 25 million dirhams, caused multiple increase in output, in income, in consumption. So that will lead in the end an increase in aggregate output or an aggregate income by 4 times multiple than the increase in initial income. And that's good. That's good. If really the multiplier is 4 or even more than 4. And also, we talk in this way in the market. So if for example, if the government of United Arab Emirates decided to release loans to citizens to build their houses, that will activate the market. If you go to a seller of tomatoes, he will say, now I started to sell more. The market becomes more active. People has more money. So when there is an increase in exogenous variable, that will activate or stimulate or encourage the level of economic activity. Okay, let's go to this, the size of the multiplier. According to the information here, what is the size of multiplier? It is 4. Why it is 4? 100, which is delta y, divided by delta I 25, which is 4. This is called the size of the multiplier. Now we need to get the equation. What is the equation of the multiplier? Let's go back to marginal propensity to save. Marginal propensity to save equals a change in saving or an increase in saving due to an increase in income by a given amount. For example, my income increased by 100 and saving increased by 25. So 25 divided by 100 equals dot 25, which is called marginal propensity to save. At equilibrium, saving equals investment. So for a moment, I will substitute I for S. So for a moment. So we got marginal propensity to save equals delta I divided by delta Y. I will rearrange this term. What is delta I? Delta I equals, so what is delta I? Sorry, delta Y. What is delta Y? I will bring delta Y up and replace it with marginal propensity to save. So it is easy. It is easy for this. For example, 2, where I put 2? So 2 equals equals 10 divided by 5. So what is 5? For if the 5 is missing, so I can rearrange the equation again and rewrite it as follow. So 10 the same, I will replace 2 for 5. So I will put here 2. I will put 2 here. So this is marginal propensity to save. So here delta Y equals delta I divided by marginal propensity to save. Okay, so we got here delta Y. I brought out delta I times 1 divided by marginal propensity to save. So now, if investment increased by 25, that will cause output to increase by 100. Why? Because the multiplier is 4. The multiplier then is 1 divided by marginal propensity to save. So the multiplier is 1 divided by marginal propensity to save. Marginal propensity to save equals also 1 minus marginal propensity to consume. So keep this in your mind. Keep this in your mind, because it is important to understand the next chapter. Okay. So now what is the multiplier? 1 divided by marginal propensity to save, or 1 divided by 1 minus marginal propensity to consume. When investment rises, equilibrium level of output will change by. So here, what is delta Y? What is delta Y? Delta Y equals to what? So delta Y equals delta I times the multiplier. The multiplier, 1 divided by marginal propensity to save. Okay, so assume we have this equation. C equals 100 plus dot 75 Y. What is the multiplier? Is the multiplier? The multiplier equals the multiplier equals 1 divided by 1. Let me delete all this. What is the multiplier? I said 1 divided by marginal propensity to save, or equals 1 divided by 1 minus marginal propensity to consume. So what is marginal propensity to consume? It is 0.75. So what is marginal propensity to save? It is 0.25. So use your calculator, whether you use 0.75 or 25. So 1 divided by 0.25 equals what? Equals 4. Equals 4. So let me ask you another question. So C equals 200 plus dot 85 Y. Calculate the multiplier. Calculate the multiplier. Calculate the multiplier. So this will be changed, and this will be changed, and this will be changed. Calculate the multiplier. Who got the answer? So the marginal propensity to save 85, marginal propensity to consume 85. And here 6.7. Another question. C equals 300 plus dot 80 Y. 80 Y. What is the multiplier? the multiplier equals 5. So as the marginal propensity to consume increases from 0.75 to 0.80 to 0.85, the multiplier will increase from 4 to 5 to 6.7. So as the marginal propensity to consume is greater, the multiplier will be greater. Why? Because if you receive an income, you will spend a greater part of your income to purchase something. So that will activate more the level of economic activity. In reality, I said the multiplier is 4. And practically is much lower than 4. Why? Because if our income increased by 25 million dirhams, some amount of this money will go abroad because we will import goods from abroad. So that will activate the economic activity abroad, not inside the country. So that will lower our multiplier. So if our government increase their spending by 25 million dirhams, aggregate output will not increase by 100, will increase less than 100, because part of the multiple increase in output will go abroad to import goods that will activate other countries' activities, not our country. So we have some discussion questions. I will not explain them in details, but I will go through them. So Hamdan Abdullah, Abdullah Isa.
أهلا دكتور حمدان عبد الله.
Hamdan, did you read before, Hamdan?
Yeah.
Okay, let me go now to Abdullah Isa or Abdul Aziz Mubarak. Salih.
نعم دكتور.
Let me go. Salih, read this question for me.
planned دقيقة دكتور.
Planned aggregate expenditure. Yes.
And aggregate expenditure is less than aggregate output. Explain the process by which the economy moved toward equilibrium.
So see here in this diagram. No, it's not clear. So here, if a planned aggregate expenditure 725, which is less than aggregate output of 800, what will happen? Demand is lower than supply. We produce 800, but we sell 725. That will result in an unplanned increase in inventory by 75. Business sector will react by decreasing output till we reach to 500 equilibrium. So I answered the question using my graph or my data. Okay, let me go to another question. Muhammad Adnan, Sheikh Abed.
دكتور بخصوص محمد عدنان، هو كان موجود في الحصة بس اضطر يروح المستشفى.
شو اسمك؟
حمدان.
حمدان. اوكي موافق. شيخ عبيد، سلامته طمنا عليه. محمد عارف،
Yes, doctor.
Muhammad Arif, read this question.
Which question? This one?
Yes.
Explain how the multiplier process works as the MPS increases. What happened to the size of the multiplier and why?
Okay. So first, explain the multiplier process. If assume the government decided to spend extra 25 million dirhams to give it to Sheikh Abeid to build a new palace, so what will happen? The construction company will produce a new product, new villa, and they will earn a new income. They will spend 90% of their new income to purchase something else. Assume they decided to purchase vegetable. The farm producing vegetable will earn a new income. They will spend 90% of this to buy something else. Assume they decided to purchase clothes. The shop or the workshop producing clothes will produce new clothes and will earn a new income. And they will spend 90% of this new income to purchase something else. So in the end of this process, aggregate output or aggregate income will increase multiple times than the initial increase in one of the exogenous variables, such as an increase in government expenditure. The second part, as marginal propensity to consume increases, the multiplier also will increase. Why? Because from any initial increase in exogenous variables such as government expenditure, if the government expenditure decided to spend extra 25, so there is a difference between marginal propensity to consume of 0.70 and 0.90. So for example, 25 times 0.70 will be around 17 million, but 25 times 0.90 will be 22. So 17 million and 22. So as marginal propensity to consume increases from 0.70 to 0.90, a larger portion of the new income will go for consumption. And in the second stage, for vegetable, fabric, clothes, when they receive a new income, they will cut larger part of their income for consumption. So in the end, there will be a greater increase in aggregate output due to initial increase in government spending. So as marginal propensity to consume increases, the multiplier also will increase. Okay, so I guess this is the last slide. So let me go to Ali Umran.
نعم دكتور.
Read this for me, please.
Why doesn't equilibrium exist at an aggregate output level of 2 billion in the figure below?
Okay, so we explained this, but again, at 200 aggregate output, planned aggregate expenditure is greater, 275. Demand is more than supply. The vertical distance refers to unplanned decrease in inventory. Why it is decreased? Because we sell more than what we produce. So that will give an incentive to business sector to produce more till we reach 500. Ali Umran, the second part, why?
Why doesn't equilibrium exist at an aggregate output level of 800 in the figure below?
Okay, so at 800, planned aggregate expenditure is less than aggregate output of 800. We produce 800, but we sell less than 800. The vertical distance refers to unplanned increase in inventory. Why it is an increase in inventory? Because we produce 800 and we sell less than 800. So the rest will go to an increase in inventory. Business sector will react by decreasing output. Why it is decreasing in output? Because demand is less than supply. We sell less than what we produce. So by next year, we will produce less till we reach equilibrium.